Hey YouTube, we're here again with another Mustang video, and today we're going to be talking about an SN95 or Fox 4 platform Mustang. This actually belongs to one of my best friends, and this car isn't your ordinary Mustang with just exhaust and gears. This car actually has a good amount of work done to it, so I wanted to talk to him about why he built this car up and go over the details and share it all with you. So let's get into it. This is my best friend's car, so I'm going to actually have him do the talking. So, my friend here, tell us what we have.
This is a 2003 Mustang GT. Pretty much really wanted to have a fun street car that I could take to the track on the weekends. So over the years, it started from a extremely stock 2-valve with the gears and the intake that we started, and it kind of evolved into the thing you see in front of you.
All right, speaking of evolved, as you all can see, there's a big snail in the front here. And not only is there a snail, but below these valve covers and going into the drivetrain itself, there's a lot of changes. So my friend, tell me what we have in the engine bay.
Sure, currently, and it's gone through several of these, but this is a Vortec V1 S-Trim, engine oil fed, just like your excellent street blower that essentially everyone can afford as their first supercharger. The intake pipe is obviously coming out of somewhere. This is a front mount intercooled Vortec.
So this actually is a built engine. I'm going to let my friend here explain exactly what built means on this engine, because not only is the internals upgraded, you're talking about the block too. So my friend, go ahead and tell us what's actually going on with this engine.
Sure, it started life as a iron blocked 4.6 liter Romeo engine. I think after a little bit of searching, I was able to locate an aluminum block out of the '05 and up Mustangs.
Which those are still 4.6 if people remember. 5 liter didn't come out till 2011.
Right, still the 4.6 out of the 3-valve engine. So it's the less the desirable than the Texid aluminum blocks that came in the older Cobras. But it was essentially free and there for the taking. So used that to my goal was to drop some weight with that block. So use that block, Manley pistons and rods, just close to stock. They're 20 thousandths over.
Yeah, and you actually bought like a bottom bin kit for this, right?
I did. I bought it as a rotating assembly kit from MMR out in California.
Okay.
And then had a local engine builder help me assemble the engine. But so rods and pistons are forged. This one's kind of neat. I wanted to try something I had not really done a lot in my engine building experience, but this is a Kellogg stroker crank.
Okay.
Increase the displacement to 5 liters, probably just a touch more with the boring of the...
Yeah, the oversized pistons and stuff like that.
Right.
So we're looking at really, in reality, probably like a 5.1, maybe a 5.2.
Yeah, something. I guess we could do some math, but I just call it the old 5 liter.
5 liter stroker is pretty much essentially what it is.
Right.
Was there any major changes that had to be done in order to make an aluminum block from a newer Mustang work in this 2-valve?
What's really cool about modular Ford engines is no, I did nothing. Granted, I went to a what they call a 3-bolt timing cover, which means instead of the old single bolt for the belt tensioner, it has 3, which is rumored to have a lot more strength. So essentially nothing. I think one hole in the timing cover didn't match up, and Donnie and I, you and I were putting this together. A little RTV in there, no leaks, no nothing. So to go from an iron block to what's referred to as a WAP aluminum block, no, nothing at all. It just, there she is.
So folks, people at home, if you're wanting to shave some weight, do you happen to know how much weight you saved by doing the aluminum block versus the steel?
I want to say it was close to 70 pounds.
So if you want to drop 70 pounds and you're doing a motor setup, you want to go to aluminum, guys, it can be done. This car is proof of that. So, which is really cool. So not a lot of people actually go that route. Of course, you'll find some people that actually have done it. And but it's not like it's flooded out there. It's not like a Fox body that's got like an LS swap or a 351 conversion or something that's had a Cobra drivetrain conversion. This is pretty unique, and I think that's really cool to share with people. All right, so let's move up from the rotating assembly up. Now these heads, of course, another choking point of the 2-valve motors. Of course, the displacement is pretty small. You up the displacement to about probably what 305 maybe, because it was at 281, maybe 302. We'll just say 302 for argument's sake.
Sure.
So you up the displacement to 302. Do you remember what the compression ratio was? What it was going to bump?
Factory was about 9. It's 9.5 or 9.6 to 1, and using the same stock heads that were on the car and the dish of piston I selected, it ended up at about the exact same.
Okay, so you're looking at probably 9 to 1 compression. All right, so you're really not changing anything there. If any, you just got more stroke, so therefore you increase your torque. But power-wise, just from the engine itself, the heads are the next choking point. And so let's talk about these heads. These are still the stock heads, is that right?
Yes, the exact heads that came on the car when it was manufactured. I really just chose those at the time because of how much new aftermarket cylinder heads cost, and
That's another big point, guys. Everyone knows that Fox bodies, you buy a head cam and intake package for a couple grand. That's just the cylinder heads alone for these cars. Is that a fair statement to say?
yeah, I would say aftermarket, which is Trick Flow makes the heads. They would probably, I mean, they're in the neighborhood of $2,500,
Just for the heads.
bare heads to your house. Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go, people. I mean, the parts for these cars, even though they're older now, the pricing for these parts, they're still up there. So that's probably another reason, would you say, that a lot of people probably don't build these engines? Is there just the sheer price point of building the engine by itself?
Sure. Yeah. Instead of spending $2,500 for cylinder heads, I think a lot of people just use that and go and buy a 4-valve engine, or just
Invest in the blower by itself. Just do the blower kit and be done with it.
Right, yeah, just do that and have fun, and that's enough fun. I think when they get the sticker shock from what it's going to cost to build a 2-valve engine, it kind of it deters more people than it doesn't.
Okay, so let's talk about these heads then. So yeah, these are the stock heads, like you said. So what's been done to them to help with what we got going on?
Sure. The same engine builder in a town nearby from us had some experience with CNC porting. So these are just a very mild, almost like a cleanup.
Okay.
They improved a few CFM, but for argument's sake, they are stock heads.
Okay. Okay. Now, did you have to upgrade the valve springs or anything? Since we are boosting the well, we're not boosting the compression, but we are changing the stroke and going with different camshafts. Did you have to change your valve springs out?
I did. Because of what you spoke about, camshafts, they required a stiffer spring.
Okay. So yeah, people, again, going to further up the engine, we're looking at this. Of course, you can't see them, but under these valve covers, we do have different cams. So let's talk about those. My friend, what kind of cams do you have in this thing?
They are secondhand from, you can buy a lot of things online or from
Sure.
friends. To save some money, I picked up a set of cams that had not been used but had been sitting on a shelf for a while. It's from a company called Cushman Motorsports, CMS. A lot of Mustang guys will know that name. These are their Stage 2 blower cams.
Stage 2, okay. So can you kind of explain what a stage, because a lot of people are like obsessed with stages. You got stage 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So stage 2, can you kind of boil it down for us? What does stage 2 mean for this car?
Stages are really easy to refer to because most people don't get into the intake and duration and timing events and when all these things
Sure,
happen.
sure.
So stages are easy for the enthusiast to know where the cam sits as far as drivability, the power band, where it makes more power, where it's going to shift power from where you currently sit. So stage 2 is mild. It's streetable. They have a stage 1. I don't, to me they don't make a whole lot of difference.
Okay.
But it's more of the difference in setup between a naturally aspirated, a turbocharged, or a supercharged cam.
Sure. Okay, and so another thing, like you can't go too wild with the cams because since it is supercharged, you don't want to just blow air straight out the cylinders. You want that air to be used and actually make some power with them. All right, so I know we focused a lot on the engine bay here, but there is a lot to talk about, and we're not even done, folks. So that's just the engine itself. So now we're talking. Let's go ahead and move up here. We're looking at a stock. It looks like this is a stock intake manifold. Is that correct?
This is a stock intake. What's really cool about the stock 2-valve intake is even though they are a plastic intake, they have been known to take a lot of abuse, a lot of boost, and seem to hold on. So again, when I was creating my budget for the engine build, the stock intake was going to work for my power goal. So that's why I chose to stay with it at the time.
All right, fantastic. All right, people, and everyone knows this isn't stock. What do we got going on here? Tell us about this.
Sure. So there are limitations to the stock fuel system, of course. I don't know exactly what year. I believe it's 98, 99. They added, went to a returnless style fuel system.
Yeah, I think it was 98. Yeah.
98. So what that means is basically the computer, along with some other controls in the rear of the car, will modulate the fuel pump to deliver the fuel based upon demand. So that has been known to make a lot of power, but you're involving a lot of electronics that need to be modified,
Sure.
And the cost goes up. So seeing as that I didn't want to go that route, I converted with through a company called Lethal Performance. I converted this to a return style setup.
Okay.
So they use an adapter to fit on one side of the rail to help, well, not to help, but to deliver fuel back to the tank.
Yeah, that'd be this line here.
Right. So that's your standard regulator just sitting on the side of an adapter for the stock fuel rail.
Cool. Yeah, and for people that are kind of curious about doing from returnless to return style fuel systems, is it hard to do? Is it hard to convert?
I would say maybe your average enthusiast could not do it. It just takes it just takes a mild understanding of some wiring, basic electronics, and creating the fuel lines, putting the ends on. So I mean, it took me a weekend of being out in the garage for a few hours at a time, but
Okay, but it's not a brainless process. It takes some effort, but it's not something that everyone can do, but it's not impossible for everyone to do.
hardly impossible. The
Okay.
instructions that come with it are they're okay. I think you have to have a little experience or a little knowledge about what you're doing to know.
Sure.
Especially when boost is involved, and this regulator uses boost to reference and increase fuel pressure as
Yep, and that'd be this line here.
Yes.
And we can see that's got a little inlet into the regulator.
right. That helps the regulator read the pressure inside the manifold to know to add or subtract fuel.
Going back to the blower here real quick, how much boost is this thing putting out?
This is making 16 to 17 pounds. Just depends on the day.
Okay, and in order to, because a lot of people are going to be like, bullshit, how's that making 16 pounds of boost? So tell us how you're getting 16 pounds of boost from this blower.
Well, the first thing is an 8-rib upgrade.
Okay.
So finding all the Ford part numbers. A lot of it was off, the vans and the trucks. So that was pretty simple.
He's talking about the pulleys on a lot of your accessory drive here, like your alternator, water pump, so on and so forth.
Yes, exactly. So the extra grip from an extra 2 ribs on the belt and the pulley help hold on and allow it to not have any belt slip.
Okay.
I also have decreased the size of the drive pulley on the supercharger. This is a 2.9 or 2.8 inch. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, it's pretty small. You can see, people, if you're looking at this here, if this is a good angle, you can see it's pretty small.
What really sent it over the top was the 15% overdrive crank pulley. I guess it's a harmonic dampener pulley, really, but that's from a company called Innovators West, and kind of hard to see, but she's
There you go. You can kind of see it there. It's a big piece of was that billet steel or aluminum? What is that?
Aluminum, and that is it's a bear to install.
I bet. Yeah, as you guys can see, especially doing the front mount intercooler setup, your space for everything is pretty limited, but it does fit. Now, of course, you ran into a few little issues, but they were just minor issues with the feed and return line. Is that right?
Yeah, and it just comes with experience and knowing where you have things put. When you start modifying something else that's in the way of that, you've got to move it, and you just get creative.
Right, exactly. Okay, so that about covers everything for the engine here. Can you think of anything else that needs to be covered?
I probably could, but we'll be here on that.
Okay.